Hi, I'm Susan Wilson. Welcome to History Tidbits. Really cool stuff you probably didn't know, and it's kind of exciting to learn. I'm standing here in the middle of Boston Common, which is the oldest public green in the United States. Some people say that Boston Common is the oldest park in the United States, and that's actually false because parks didn't even exist at that time. A park is a luxurious thing that's open to all classes of people, etc. And when the colonists first came here and settled Boston in 1630, their idea of parks were private repositories in England and France that were just for the upper class. They were not for common people. This was built as a common, as a place for everyone to use in common. So if we were here from 1634, when it was first opened, up until 1830, we would see cows on the common because you were allowed to bring your cows here and graze them. You would see people having rug beatings. If you were here in the 1770s, you would see British regulars camped out here trying to quell a revolution from happening. At various times in history, Martin Luther King Jr. spoke and rallied here. The Pope was here. There have been all kinds of protests. Gay Pride has met here for many years. So there are all kinds of events that have happened here as a public park. Now, one of those aspects is right behind me. Back behind this building is the Frog Pond. And the Frog Pond has always been a place where little kids can swim, cool off in the summer, in the winter can ice skate, and this goes on to this day. It's really, really exciting. Also, we're on the edge of Boylston Street, which at one point was called Frog Lane, and that was simply because there were so many frogs here, they were just making their sounds all the time. So it was a popular place for frogs, not so much anymore. Now, just within this one space, there are a lot of things happening. I mean, the common itself is 48 acres, and you could go to any little edge and find out all these exciting things. For example, right down here is a plaque. It says the site of the Great Elm and talks about Methodists arranging and, really developing the Methodist Church here. But so many other things happened here. The Great Elm probably predated the colonists settling here in 1630. It was older than that, and they don't know how much older. And the Great Elm was a place where it was one of the only trees, like one of the only three major trees on the common. All the trees you see here now are since this developed into a public park. Public parks didn't come into fashion until the mid-19th century, and so this did eventually become a park from just a common. Anyway, many things happened here. There were all kinds of meetings. For example, the Sons of Liberty sometimes met here, although it is not the Liberty Tree. In the mid-19th century, when smoking was prohibited in Boston in indoor places, yes, you heard that right, in the mid-19th century, a smokers' circle used to meet here. But also in colonial times, a very sad aspect of this was also a hanging tree. And if you were considered some kind of a traitor, you might be hanged on this same tree. So it had great things and it had bad things involved. Now we just rotate a little bit more, and something else I referenced is happening as we speak. Right over here, there's construction going on, and they're laying the foundation for a new memorial that is going to open in January of 2023 to Martin Luther King Jr. and Coretta Scott King. Now, what have they got to do with Boston? A whole lot. Because back in the 1950s, he came to Boston and went to Boston University, where he studied at the School of Theology, and she was studying voice at the New England Conservatory of Music. They met here, fell in love, and this became an important part of their life. And he led all kinds of civil rights events and marches and rallies here. So it's a pretty exciting area. And again, this is just one tiny corner of the Boston Common. Thanks.